Hi, my name is Neil Njoshimpule, and I'm bringing you this SSIS review exercise on how to dump multiple flat files in a single folder into a database table. In order to achieve and accomplish this, there are 4 steps that must be followed. Firstly, you must alternate through the flat files in a folder. From each file, you must pull the data within the files. You must then dump the data into a single database table, and after you have read that flat file, you must move that flat file into an archived folder. In order to accomplish this, you're going to need the following items. In SSIS, you're going to need the for each loop container, the flat file source task, the OLEDB destination task, the file system task, and utilize user variables in SSIS. Okay, so let's actually go and do it. So for my table, I have a database I created specifically for this exercise, and it's called dumpdb. The table I'll be dumping into is called customer info. The table customer info has the following columns: customer ID, company name, and country. The flat files I'll be pulling from are ordered like this. I'm putting them in the folder I'm going to be pulling from. So they have 3 columns, just like the table I'm dumping into. The first column, the first row, has the actual column names, and every single row after that in the flat file will have the data for that particular column, as you can see here. So my first flat file, 1.txt.txt, has a row name with the column names the same as the database table. The same applies to every other flat file that I'm pulling from. So you have customer ID, you have company name, and you have country. And you have the same data below. You have the customer ID, company name, and country, and then you'll pull the data in. So it's all ordered and it's all clean data coming in. Okay, so now let's get started in SSIS. So I'm going to start up SSIS. Let's look for bids in my file menu. So I have Microsoft Visual Studios 2008. I'm starting it up. Takes a bit of time, but it'll get there. So I'm going to go to File, New, Project. I'm going to go to New Integration Services Project. I'm going to call it Dump the Database. And I'm going to create it. Okay, now that it's created, I'm going to click on the package. And the first thing I'm going to do before I do anything else is I'm going to create a variable called file. This variable will hold the file name at all times. I'm going to make it a string, and it's been defined on the package level. Next, I'm going to pull in the for each loop container, and I'm going to load it right here. Within the for each loop container, I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to go to collection, and I'm going to make sure I have a for each file enumerator selected in my enumerator options. Then I'm going to browse. I'm going to go to my actual folder that I have the files in. I have it in this folder, and it's my flat files are stored in review_file_dump/files. So I have them right there. So my enumerator will point to the source directory that'll have my undumped files. So next step, I'll go to variable mappings. I will select the variable file that I just created initially, and then I'll go to OK. The next task I will want to create is the data flow task. So that'll be the next task I define in SSIS. I will go into my data flow task. I will create a flat file source. I will go into my flat file source and I'll create a new connection. My computer is a bit slow, sorry. Hurry up, computer. I'm giving a presentation for these nice individuals. I'm going to call the new connection dump to DB. I'll select a file and I will go to my actual folder, review file dump, files, and I'll select one of the flat files in the folder, a random one. And so I've selected it. The text qualifier, I don't have one except spaces. Since I have my column names in the first data row, I'll select that so that SSIS will know the first data row is column names. Then I'll click here, it reads the data alright, and that is all for the flat file. So now I have my new flat file connection manager and I go to OK. Now for the next step, I'm going to pull in an OLEDB destination. I'm going to connect them together. I'm going to go to OLEDB destination. I'm going to create a new connection. And my new connection is going to be the database I just created. So my server name is localhost, so I put a dot. I'm going to select my database that I want to work with, and that was called dumpdb. And I go to test connection, it's there, okay. And so then I have my connection that I want to use. Now I'm going to select the table I want to dump into, which is customer_info. And that is done. Now I click on mappings to make sure everything's is mapping correctly, and it is perfect. I go to OK. So now I'm going to go to my control flow, and I'm going to add another task. And this task will be a file system task, and that is right here. I'll go to my data flow task, I'll click on my file system task, and then I'm going to select a destination path variable. I'm going to create a destination connection because I want all my files to dump into my archive folder. So I'm going to say existing folder. I'll select my existing folder, and that is here. I go to OK. Okay, I have my destination connection right there. My source, not so important, but I'll put my source variable as user.file because that's where we're pulling from. Okay, so then, still complaining? Oh, so now I need to, in my system package variable, I have to define the first file's location. So the name of the first file I want to pull out is 1.txt.txt, and that is 1.txt.txt right there. Okay, I go in, I'm selecting move file because I wanted to move the file, right, and destination path variable. Whoops, I close that. Archive, true. Okay, so that's fine now. And now for the last and final step, since I'm pulling from a database flat file that tends to change, I need to go to the connection manager, and this is my dump to DB flat file. This is the connection that's pulling from the flat file directory, and I'm going to define an expression. I'm going to set the property to connection string. Since I want to go through each of the flat files in that folder, I'll go to my variables. I'll select the variable that holds the current file that I'm pulling in and dumping from. I'll go to OK. Then I go to OK. Bang. I have just created a package. So now let's see if it works. So I have these files in my files folder. I'm going to run it. And now that they've all been read, they're no longer in the files folder, but they're in the archive folder. So let's see if the data has been pulled into my my actual database table, dvo_customer_info. And all the data is there, as you can see. So it has pulled in the data from all the flat files and moved them, and so we have successfully created a package that will iterate through files in a folder using the for each loop container. It will read the data from the folder, flat file source, and dump it into a destination database. And then it's going to move that particular file from its base folder to an archive folder to state that it has successfully read that file into the database. So I hope you found that lesson useful, and that is all for this lesson. Thank you.